Now for Gilligan, providing plenty of run. Holmes chasing him down, gaining with every stride, but he goes out in front of Andrews. How play from Luff. Standing in the hole, he got crunched by Andrews. That is the type of thing that wins your club football games.
My name's Chris Luff. I've always loved and been involved with sport from a young age. I've done anything and everything. Sailed, swam, played basketball. Majority of my sporting background's been football.
You're right, Alex. That is a match-winning play there. He just total disregard for his body. He would have known. I don't know, not so much the mark, but
no, that's what he's paid.
Yeah, I know he's paid the mark. It should have been play on, really. He's put himself in there. I mean, I guess, you know, he's had a go. He's knocked out. They're calling for the stretcher.
Midway through 2017, playing the best footy of my life. I was happy, good job, everything seemed to be stable. I was reaching down to pick up the football. I was tackled, my head was slapped against the ground. I was diagnosed with concussion. Nothing out of the blue, I've had plenty before. Never been any issue. I'd recovered for the week, got back up to play the next. It was probably 2 weeks in where I realised it was a little bit different to previous ones. It ended up being about 6 weeks before I come back and played my first game. Now in hindsight, I was not okay. I shouldn't have been playing. I was trying to do everything I possibly could to get back and play finals. And I came back early, bent over to pick up the footy and got a slight knock behind the ear, the same spot where I was tackled into the ground. And when I got that second concussion, that was when my life changed. From the second concussion, I probably worked 2 days out of the next 2 weeks. I was suffering really bad migraines. I was a Boilermaker, and that heavily relies on being able to read drawings and read plans in front of you. I looked down and I had double vision. 2 weeks after the concussion, I'd probably seen 3 different doctors, all telling me the same thing, which was to wait, sit around in a dark room, don't go outside. Don't be exposed to bright lights or loud noises. They were things that would upset my symptoms. It even got to the point where I was driving home from work where I would uncontrollably, and not even knowing why, I would just be crying. And that was probably the scariest wake-up point for me because my family didn't know. My girlfriend didn't know at the time, my housemate didn't know at the time. So it was all something that I tried to push to the side and really not make open to them. So that was probably 2 or 3 weeks post the second concussion. And from there, things gradually got worse. I had my first anxiety attack, which was interesting because I didn't know what it was at the time. I was driving down to see my parents in Mandurah and had to get Nikki, my partner, to pull over because it felt like someone had hit me in the sternum with a baseball bat. A feeling of death had just come over me. I actually thought I was going to die. It was a weird, surreal feeling, and looking back on it now, that was my first anxiety attack. So it was small things that would set them off, something that would not warrant being worried about would get me. So I would have real bad anxiety knowing that I was having to go out and have a beer with my mates, and it got to the point where I was just drinking to numb the pain. Not numb the pain, it would be numbing the reality that I was living in. I was constantly underneath a shadow, underneath a cloud. Everything was dulled in a sense. And it was a real weird and surreal feeling. It was hard to portray. People around me didn't understand, and I couldn't put it into words how that actually felt for me, which made it hard for people around me, affected people around me, because they didn't know how to react or comfort me in a way. I put a lot of unnecessary stress and pressure on myself as well for footy. Everything was based around on getting back for footy. It wasn't actually getting back to normal living. Everything was based around, all right, I need to get up, I've got 6 weeks to finals, what can I do to make that happen? And it wasn't till I probably had a conversation with my coach who said that, you know, footy's secondary. It's really about being happy and healthy upstairs before anything, and it took me a while to sort of grasp that concept. I remember going to some of the games and I could literally only stay for a quarter because the sun would be so intensely bright and it would give me such a splitting headache. but I'd constantly have my glasses on or squinting looking at the oval, and that's when I realised that when that turned into 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 months, that it was something that wasn't just going to fix overnight. Moved down to February, I was told by neurologists and 4 different GPs that there was nothing that they could do. It was just sit and wait, and I'd had enough. I researched and spent hours on the computer trying to find people in similar situations, and what I actually found was a huge community of people suffering TBI with traumatic brain injuries and concussions, and how long these symptoms can actually last. And it's pretty scary to think how many people go through that. If I was able to backtrack just a little bit, the GPs, what their solution was to give me antidepressants and anti-anxiety tablets. Lasted about 3 weeks. They made me extremely ill, and I realised that was just a band-aid to the actual problem. You needed to get in there and fix it from the source. Through my research, I found Dr. John Hart, who run the Heart Clinic in Sydney. South Fremantle Footy Club were fantastic, and they flew me over there. They put me up. They paid for all my appointments with him. You actually could just empathise a bit with it and say, look, I've seen people in your situation, and this is what you need to do to get better. It's complete opposite to what you've been told. You need to exercise, you need to get sunlight, you need to eat these types of foods, you need to cut this out. And literally probably 2 weeks around from meeting him, I had a clear track of where I was going, what I needed to do, and within that 2 weeks, I turned things around. I left my job boiler making because I couldn't function and actually do the work anymore because my head was not right. I actually started studying my personal training. I started the job at Fitness Results and started Southside Strength and Conditioning up at the same time I met John Hart in Sydney. And it was just a good end to a chapter to say, okay, new job. I've been given a new direction with how I can get my concussion situation in hand. And it was exercise and diet. That's what it come down to. So the marathon, what I'm doing is the Margaret River Ultra Marathon, which is a section of the Cape to Cape down south. It's 80 kilometres. Why am I doing it? Number one, mainly because I've been on the other side of the fence where I've struggled with some sort of mental health experience. And now I think I'm mentally tough, but I want to be put in a position where I've actually can prove to myself that I am. Second reason why I'm doing it, and probably the most impactful for others, is to raise money for Outside the Locker Room. They're a mental health charity and foundation that raise awareness and provide education sessions on drug and alcohol, gambling, mental health, domestic violence. No, I'm not a professional marathon runner. The furthest I would have run in total would have been a game of football. Lucky to be over 10 kilometres. Playing full back, you don't do too much running up the fields, so this is my first experience of any long distance run. I haven't given myself as much time as I probably should have in preparation to doing the marathon. I've given myself 4 months. So I started in February, I will race in May. It's 3 months. Nah, look, my goal is to get under 12 hours, and that's to average, roughly an 8-minute kilometre, 8-minute K pace. So every kilometre you run, it'll take me 8 minutes, but there's sections of it I've been told is you have to walk. There's big long stretches of beach. There's big trails. I did my first trail run on the weekend for 15 kilometres, and that hurt, and that was good fun. So that gave me a little bit of a taste of what it would be like. So if I can get under 12 hours, I will be happy. Actually, if I will complete it, I'll be happy. I want to complete it. That's my goal. Just get it done. Get it done.
40K was exactly the same pain throughout the whole thing. Just a mental grind, just a grind. I couldn't pick up my left leg much, so I think I lost 3 or 4 toenails off my left foot. At the last checkpoint, I was aiming for 10 hours, thinking I could do it, but there was a lot of climbs and I didn't have it in the legs, but I'm stoked to be here.
Mental health and there's a culture amongst men and women there to suck it up and you know, get a bit of guts about you and kick on, and I was definitely on that side of the fence. I didn't think much of it, and I feel embarrassed to say that now, but there is so much more to it, and it takes a shitload of guts to be able to just put your hand up and say that you're not okay. And a lot of people said to me, you know, I just don't get it. I just don't know how people be depressed. You know, life's not that bad. I don't know how you get anxiety. And I'm grateful for those people who not think that way, but are in a position that is so far out of the realm of possibility for them that they don't have to experience that. But, you know, I think it's just about caring about your mate and helping them out, you know, and being comfortable enough to say something. That's my biggest lesson I've learned from it.